let's not panic, And I remember texting Kaylee. Seeing if she was okay. She obviously didn't ever respond because it was in the morning.
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. This is for entertainment purpose only. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. I'd like to start by apologizing to my viewers, my subscribers, for basically not replying to all the comments like I usually do. Like I've mentioned before, I've been sick for a couple of days. I've been really badly down with the flu. I'm still trying to recover, but thank God I'm getting much better. And I'd like to thank my subscribers, my viewers, for all your patience. I'd like to wish the families of the 4 victims well. Still praying, hoping for the correct justice to be served for the 4 precious victims. We want justice, but we want the correct justice to be served. That is why there is a justice system to make sure that everyone gets a fair trial and that no one is guilty until proven guilty. They need to do that through the courts. That's the reason there's a justice system, a jury. This case has obviously been one of my most focused cases for a while, besides my daily living, working, having a family, and having other things to do. This case has shocked the whole world, and it's still mysterious. We still do not know up to today if Brian Christopher Kohlberger is guilty for the crimes that he's been accused for. The last week that I've been sick, for the first couple of days I could barely watch anything or listen to any news. But when I saw the fact that they are going to demolish the house between the 28th of December up to the 2nd, 3rd of January, that really shocked me. That really disappointed me because it does not make sense. If you are going to do that, why didn't you do that this whole year? I understand that they're talking about students in the university that need to heal the students. Obviously, this is a tragic case. This is a tragic case. So 4 young people have lost their life. To see the house standing is obviously going to be disturbing, hurtful, heartbreaking. It's like reliving the trauma. As a mental health counselor, I don't understand that. But then there's something called justice too. There's other ways of covering up the crime site, 1122 Kings Road. I'll give you an example. On the 14th of June, 2014, we had this major inferno, a big fire happened in London, UK. A tall building was basically I wouldn't say set on fire, but there was a fire that cost, I believe, over 2,000 people's life, 2,300. When that happened, it was a big discussion, debates in the UK about these old buildings from the 70s that are just being renovated without being put down. So there was a lot of commotion going on about it was called the Grenfell Tower. It's very famous. So the Grenfell Tower should have been demolished a long time ago, but then the fire tragically happened. After that, what the UK government decided to do was, since the courts and everything was coming up about this house, they refused to take down the building. So what they did is they covered it up with these construction materials and all that it just looked like a white skyscraper, but you couldn't see the inside. It was obviously a memorial site because over 2,000 people lost their life. And the Grenfell Tower was in the middle of central West London. So it was located in a place that London is a very populated city. So many people obviously could feel the tragedy by seeing the building. But when it was covered up, nobody complained. There wasn't much discussions about it. They were deciding. There was a lot of debates and discussions about making it a memorial site, but they had the site for a couple of years. So what I'm trying to say is, until justice is going to be served, they should have had that building, the crime site, on. Because the Grenfell Tower was a crime site. They needed to find out if the fire was lit, if this was arson that was committed. They needed to find out if there was an electrician fault that led to this severe inferno. They needed to know a lot of things. So for the fire department and the police to do the investigation, the site had to remain. Now come to the Grenfell Tower, with which 4 people lost their lives. Just 1 people losing their life is enough. So we have 4 people who lost their lives here. But imagine over 2,300 people lost their lives in the fire in the Grenfell Tower. But still, the families, friends of the people who died in that inferno wanted justice. So nobody complained about putting down the site and demolishing it. That is the reason I say that this does not make sense. This is important to get the correct justice. We don't want to send an innocent man to his deathbed in case he did not commit this crime. And we can already see so many reasonable doubts. I just put up one just now that I started the clip with, and that is one of my highlights for me personally in this case that I still cannot get over. The 8 hours gap between calling the police and 911 does not add up. I've heard many people saying, obviously, that these are victims, B, F, and DM. DM was supposed to be in a frozen shock. Definitely there's a frozen shock. But 8 hours? You do freeze, definitely in a situation like that. But I think I personally would have been more scared that there's an intruder in my house that I can hear upstairs, rumbling upstairs. I hear, if I was Dylan, I heard somebody saying that I'm here to help. You hear your roommate, Zana, crying or whimpering. You hear something that sounds like, or someone that sounds like Kaylee playing with her dog. It could have been anyone else playing with a dog. That's another important thing that I need to mention. I've thought about that a lot. Why would Dylan hear somebody playing with their dog? If Kaylee was sleeping, because that was what was said, that all the victims were sleeping. I'm going according to their facts now. If Kaylee was sleeping, and if DM thought that Kaylee must have woken up and was playing with her dog, it's understandable she thought that, but now that we know that it wasn't Kaylee who was playing with the dog, could it be possible that it was somebody who knew Murphy was playing with Murphy, like Jack D, allegedly? Not accusing anyone of anything, but it's just a question that needs to be thought of. So Dylan was noticing all these things, hearing the noises. She and BF were texting each other, but not for 1 second did she think, call the police? Because if they or he or she, whoever is doing these awful crimes, if somebody who doesn't belong in this house is upstairs, they would come down for you and Bethany Funk next. So it doesn't add up for me. Then we have this part of this girl, Eva, Kaylee's friend, clearly saying, Eva clearly says, I said, let me call Kaylee. It could have just been an accident. Pay attention to that part. What is the accident? Let's hear this again.
They're like, okay, it's an accident. Let's not panic, you know. And I remember texting Kaylee. To see if she was okay. She obviously didn't ever respond. It was in the morning.
Let's bring in.
Now let's break this down. Eva said that she called. She said, "Let me call Kaylee just in case it's an accident." What was the accident? And then she said, "I texted her. There was no reply." And that was 10 a.m. in the morning. All these students knew about the murder, about the quadruples. So WSU Kim wasn't lying about that part. These students knew exactly what happened, and I believe the reason they knew what happened, it was something done by other students. They knew who the killer was, or the killers. We have this other boy, this other young college student who said in the start that he heard when he was on his way to work on Sunday morning, when he got up, he said, "My social media went wild." And there was a lot of speculation, and that's what he heard, that there was a quadruple, that 4 people were dead in 1122 Kings Road, and the reason that they lost their lives was due to an overdose. Very important. Now he found that out around 9 a.m. in the morning. ever said it was before 10 a.m. in the morning. Somebody called Zana's sister, Yasmin, and she had to call her father to come back. He was driving from Washington Pullman to Arizona, I guess. So put all these people together and you would see that there are actually strange behaviors going on before that certain period. It seems like everybody knew. So what did actually happen? Let's guess. I'm sure Dylan and BF called and summoned friends around, like we heard. Why were they busy calling each other, calling others, calling even Zana's sister, Yasmin, and none of them considered calling the police? These people that were summoned up in the house already tampered with a quadruple crime scene. We had the reporter from Fox News clearly saying, that this crimes was so brutal that there was blood on the walls. Is that how the police knew that it was a targeted crime? Did someone write something in blood maybe on the walls? Trigger warning. The 911 caller was never told to us, although we know it was Hunter. The police never confirmed that. In the beginning, the police said, in the press conference, Chief Fry said that I did not say that the surviving roommates are witness. I said they were just there. That just shows me that the police themselves did not believe the girls' stories. They did not know what to take into that, because it's not normal to take 8 hours to call the police. That is one of my main reasons that I doubt, that brings doubts in my mind and my mouth. It brings doubts that this crime was done by BK. I believe it was done by the college students. I still believe in the 4chan posts. Everyone's entitled to believe what they feel like, or what they believe, but I believe there's many unanswered questions. When we hear the word that it's a targeted crime, targeted is someone who's targeting you, whether it's for money, whether it's for revenge, whether it's for obsession, whether it's through stalking, howsoever. There is a motive for someone just targeting you. You don't become someone's target for no reason. So, my question is, was Brian Christopher Kohlberger framed? Is he being framed? The reason that I'm asking all this question more directly now is after they decided to demolish the house, it makes me start believing that this is more like a cover-up. Why would you demolish a house that is an active crime scene? But then yet again, I was listening to the news, I was reading articles and all, the latest updates and all, and it seems like Ann Taylor is satisfied with them demolishing the house. So I hope she knows what she's doing, and I hope she has enough evidence. This is actually, I personally believe this is a plus for the defense attorney, because once the court starts, and the jury would most likely be watching the 3D pictures, and if they say no, it would have been easier if you were physically in the crime scene to understand, if you can see from one room to another. Example, how Dylan saw BK K, and if that height she was saying, the weight she was saying, the athletic build that she was saying, the bushy eyebrows that she was saying, if she could see it from her angle to the corridor. So the prosecution actually are messing it up for getting the correct justice for these students. It can end up being a mistrial, honestly. This is a crime scene, let's start with, that has already been tampered with. Friends were summoned. We don't know if they staged this, allegedly, if there was a cleanup, allegedly, because a Latin footprint of a Vans shoe was found in front of Dylan's room. Another important thing that's one of my highlights of this case, is who left the front door open. I would really love to know that. Was that Dylan? Was that BF? Was that the suspects who did these horrific crimes, or suspect? Was it Brian Koberger? All those need to come out. All those things. We don't know if this trial is going to actually start in October. It's been scheduled to, sorry, I really apologize, summer, when the schools close and the universities and colleges in Washington, Pullman close. They want to do the trial for 6 weeks. The longer this case hinders, the worse it is for the families, the victims' families, the worse it is for Brian Christopher Koberger's family. Because imagine if he's innocent. Even if he's guilty, the trial needs to move on. The victims come first always. But then justice is important, because the justice will clarify if it was Brian or if it wasn't. It's a shame that there's so many students who knew about the quadruples before 10 a.m. in the morning and 9 a.m. in the morning, and they're sitting with those important information that could have given correct justice. It's really a shame. I really am still focused and interested in two things. Why was the timeline changed from 3 to 4? Was the timeline changed so that they could make it link with the white Hyundai Elantra? And my other question is, at 3 a.m. that night, we could see a car, its headlights flashing in front of the house. Even the media brought that up and showed it on News Nation, Law and Crime, many other channels, but if you go back now, they've all gone. It's in my channel, you can look at it. You can see the headlight of the lights, of the car light flashing. And this is the same time the figures are running, the 4 figures. The same time Banfield stop is going on. The same time we hear stop with stop. That's around 2:54. The last call made to Jack D was 2:52. All these things are linked. The grub truck was just a plot. And I've been watching some YouTube creators now and there just to check if there's new updates on the case, and I always check, obviously, and research if there's new updates first. And without mentioning certain YouTube creators, I don't have time for this nonsense, honestly, is you hear some of these, at least certain YouTube creator, was just yesterday talking about the Banfield stop and trying to tell people don't try and get clicks and views and all that for it, and calling people disgusting. I know he wasn't talking to me, or maybe he was talking to me. He was talking about even Brian Enton. But what people don't understand is, to start with, I really respect the 4 victims and their families. That's why, to start with, I'm a professional mental health counselor, a licensed mental health counselor. I do not wear clown's clothes to try and make entertainment out of 4 students who've been brutally murdered. There's no circus in that. And the reason there's no circus in that I understand, is because I'm a parent to start with. I have 3 children of my own. Adult children now, but they'll always be children to me, young adults. I have nephews and nieces that are young. My friends have children. I respect other people's children. That's the reason I started taking this education as a mental health counselor, so I can help adults and especially children suffering of mental health illness. Bereavement, when somebody dies and they're struggling, their families and their loved ones, is bereavement. Bereavement is something I do for a living. So I wouldn't wear clown's clothes, circus clothes, to come there and to criticize other people. Maybe he did not find the Banfield clip to have anything. I found it to have something. That is the reason people are different. Maybe the way I see things, many people would see it the same way as me, and many people may not agree with us. But it's about the saying, I agree, we can agree to disagree respectfully. No criticism. But I think when we're working in a case like that, or when we're trying to investigate in a case like this, we need to be extremely careful what we wear and what we say, because that is part of your ethical morals. That's your character, how you represent yourself. And I have so much respect for these 4 victims and their families that I do not want to come out with a certain character, or looking like a clown, or looking like this or that. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but I personally believe that respect starts within yourself. Because every time I think about this case, or before I address this case, I always think, imagine if that was my children. And I wouldn't want somebody representing my children if they don't really understand that can be hurtful for parents. That is the way I see it. That is my opinion. This case has just brought the worst of the worst, and it's brought a lot of good people too. I believe anyone who has anything to say in this case should be heard, because we all bring different things to the table. Now, coming back to this case, I hope these families get justice. They may not be on the same page. One family wants the house demolished, the others don't want it. But I believe they all want justice for their 4 innocent students, the 4 innocent children of theirs. It's heartbreaking that everyone in Moscow know exactly what happened, but nobody wants to talk for whatever reason. And coming back to the house, I think the house is going to be demolished no matter what, no matter who tries to stop it. if Ann Taylor hasn't tried to stop it, that means she has enough. She has enough evidence to know maybe that it's not Brian who did it. So once I heard today that Ann Taylor herself wants the house demolished, it made me smile a bit, because she's the main attorney and her team. They know what they're doing. But I think the house is going down for other reasons. To start with, when they gave this house, when the owners of this house donated this house to the university, that was the first step that I knew at once something is not right. Who would just donate a house that's worth $500,000, $400,000? Why would they? After they gave the house, the university must have decided. They haven't decided. I think the prosecution told them to demolish it. So I don't think it's because a certain YouTube creator decided to show was his name Scott, who's in charge of the university, because a certain YouTube creator decided to show his house. That is public information. We've seen that. I have actually seen that before I saw it coming up. That's why I'm smiling a bit, because those are public information. And I don't think those kind of information should be coming out on YouTube and such things, because let's not forget, the staff of the school are not on trial.